everybody? It's me, the real KBC, and today we're gonna be doing a new episode of The King's Decree. Now, if any of you have seen my latest update video, then I talked about talking about tropes on this show, and I'm gonna be doing that today. The first trope I'm gonna talk about is plot armor. Now, plot armor is definitely one of the most annoying and frustrating tropes, not even just in fiction, but in media in general. Plot armor is basically when the main characters, be they good or bad, are protected by the plot for, well, obvious reasons. They're the main characters. They're the important characters. That's why the plot is protecting them. Nothing can happen to the main characters. I mean, unless the writers say so, but we already know about that. But yeah, anyway, plot armor is it's one of the most annoying tropes just in general. Like no matter what you read. And obviously, a lot of people don't like it because of how cheap it feels. And yeah, I will admit, it definitely feels cheap. But in my opinion, I actually feel like that there's actually a good way that plot armor could be utilized. But most people usually use plot armor in the cheapest and most convoluted and frustrating ways possible. A great example is okay when the hero is being beaten by the main villain, right? And they don't really have anything else in their kit that can help them fight back. However, for some weird reason, they just pull a power out of nowhere, like a new power that was never teased. A power that doesn't really end up getting explained. And maybe they use it again later, but maybe they don't. It depends. Um, I guess some people will also say that that's a Deus Ex Machina, but no, it's not. It's okay. Deus Ex Machinas are similar to plot armor, um, but Deus Ex Machinas themselves are something completely different. Um, they do some of the same things, but they are indeed different. But yeah, um, also another example is when a main villain is supposed to die. Yeah, suppose, right? When a main villain is just supposedly dead, um, but as it turns out, no, they're just not dead. Even though they really should have been dead. Like they got caught in an explosion, or they got hit with the pointy side of the sword multiple times, and so on and so forth, or they fell off a cliff, and and there was no way they were gonna be able to recover from that fall, right? Or there's no way they should be able to recover from that fall. Yet somehow, in some way, they're still alive. That's also plot armor, and so on and so forth. So basically, whenever the plot just does something randomly that isn't really necessary for the main characters, um, basically handing them a freebie or a mulligan, that's what plot armor is. And again, like I said, it's a really annoying trope, and for very good reasons. A lot of people don't like it. It's usually not written well. And I'm not saying that people who use it are bad writers automatically, but the way most writers usually use it is not that good. It's usually fairly contrived, it's frustrating, and it just makes the characters like I don't want to say it makes them less likable, but it makes them less interesting. And it makes the story as a whole less interesting too, because, well, the story just, if it's gonna keep handing out freebies to the main characters, well, then the main characters really earn anything at all. Um, but yeah, obviously, again, like I said before, I'm sure there are good ways to use plot armor, and I think, while plot armor isn't inherently bad, it's not exactly a very endearing trope, and um, again, be they the main hero or the main villain, or heck, even the main side characters, they usually get a healthy dose of plot armor. Though there are a few series that use anti-plot armor, where all the characters can get hurt, or can die even, or they're mentally and physically scarred and they don't recover from it very easily. Um, Usually these happen in like zombie apocalypse shows or alien invasion shows, um, or shows, right, or movies, or books, or video games, and so on. You know, just like media that is fairly dark and fairly graphic and for mature audiences only and not for little kids and so on, right? So yeah, that's usually when anti-plot armor comes in. Usually, that obviously there's a couple exceptions there too because sometimes there's plot armor in those, but not always. Mm. Um, like again, in shows that don't have plot armor or video games or whatever, books too, and yeah, they have like anti-plot armor. Like the main character ends up dying at some point, right? Or all the main cast end up dying, or heck, again, some of the main characters end up getting mentally scarred or losing a limb, and there's no easy way to fix any of that, right? The plot doesn't bend over backwards for them. The plot just lets them have it. Though sometimes the plot um, goes a bit overboard in that regard with sometimes with the anti-plot armor, but that depends on the show. So yeah, and the same thing goes for the villain. Like maybe the villain just randomly dies, and it seems like they really shouldn't have. Or the minions as well. Plot armor is really interesting. It's an interesting trope to talk about because I don't really hate it. Sure, I'm not the biggest fan of plot armor, but I do wish it was written better. I think there's interesting ways to do plot armor, and I actually think that um, you could do it in really interesting and actually good and fun ways. Like, oh, I don't know, just have a decent amount of foreshadowing, have a decent explanation for whatever's happening, and so on and so forth. Um, um, Even if it is plot armor, there's certainly ways to alleviate it and make the blow softer, right? But yeah, most people just aren't interested in doing that. But oh well. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Again, like I said, if you're using plot armor, then you're not inherently a bad writer. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's an annoying trope for a reason. But yeah. Um, anyway, um, if you like plot armor, then please explain why. If you don't like plot armor, please explain why. And I actually have another question. Um, um, when is plot armor necessary, right? And also, as an extra question, what's what are the worst uses of plot armor to you, or what are the best uses of plot armor? Right, either or works, but yeah. Um, anyway, if you want, oh sorry, not there yet. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna be making a community post about this. Please check that out. Um, if you right, right. If you want all of my social media stuff, then please check the description. It is very important. And as per usual, if you want more of me, then you all know exactly what to do. I won't hold your hand through the process. Um, yeah. King out. Have a nice day, people, and please try not to be toxic.